Hello and welcome back to AI for Real Life. This is Michelle, and today's question is, and it always starts with a question for me, is can women over 50 build muscle? And the reason I started to go down this kind of path and rabbit hole was, well, health topics always interest me. And I'm not an expert by any means, so this is not um, information or guidance as to what you should do with your health. But they interest me, and I read a lot. And I was lately reading on that women, after a certain age, start losing a percentage of muscle every year. And I was also listening to some experts, and yes, there's a lot of different experts that have all different of opinions, so I'm not saying that this is the right opinion, but the one that I happened to be listening to and that it makes sense to me was saying that in the gym we need to focus more on building muscle versus being skinny. And because I probably go to the gym 4 or 5 days a week, and I see a lot of women there, 2, 3 classes, and I think they're getting frustrated with not necessarily meeting the goals that they want. It might not be muscle, but they're obviously there a lot. And I want to be as efficient as possible with, if muscle is my goal, I want to be as efficient as possible in doing so, because I don't want to be at the gym 2, 3, 4 hours a day. And I'm not trying to be a bodybuilder by any means. I know that has come and gone. I don't even know if that ever was a come and to be gone. um, I it doing it for health reasons, and I don't want to be frail in my older years. And so it makes sense, and I want to be efficient at doing so. So I'm like, oh, let's see what AI says about this. I'm going through some hormone therapy and thought, well, maybe that plays a role. So I started with that question and put, can women over 50 build muscle? And again, this is not going to be a video on how you can build muscle. It's how, whatever your health concerns are, or what you're trying to achieve, how can you figure out where your gaps might be, and how you might be able to get some help in achieving that goal. And so that's more what this video is going to focus on. So after putting that question in, and then starting, conversation back and forth with AI, I put in, what I was eating, sleeping, drinking, what my workouts consisted of, how many days a week, all as much data as I could. And AI and I came to the conclusion that I was going to always fall short because my protein intake was not enough. And because my doctor currently, who was treating me for hormones, also wanted my protein intake up, I thought, well, this kind of makes sense. So let's see where this goes. So we kind of came to the conclusion, or it came to the conclusion by logging everything, that I was only getting about 60 to 70 grams maybe a day, and I really needed to be at 90 to 120 grams a day. So I'm going to talk to you about how we can use AI to figure out where the gaps are, and then once you do, how you can make it the easiest to actually achieve them, is what we're going to do in this video. So I will next give you some information that I learned. Welcome back, and I'm going to walk through how AI and I set up a plan and a routine to be able to increase my protein levels. So what we determined was that my protein intake was primarily being met at the end of the day. I tend to do more intermittent fasting and don't eat a lot early in the day, which therefore I needed to get some things to be able to get enough in during the day and not just at dinner time or late in the day. I needed to kind of pay attention earlier in the day and get some high protein things in. And one suggestion was to use a protein shake. And again, you can use AI it will start to learn your patterns and know what you're wanting. And through a lot of health topics that I have done, it knows that I tend to like more natural, organic. I like to be more balanced in my food. I don't want to just eat animal protein. I tend to like to get as much from plant protein. And you can get a lot more higher protein with the whey, but I wanted to do more of a plant source if I was going to do a protein powder. So AI helped me select the protein powder that would give me the highest amount and still kind of meet all my needs. Again, for you, it could be something totally different. And so I went with this plant-based one where I got 30 grams of protein, and it's organic and it is plant source based. I've used this company before for supplements and things like that, so I felt comfortable with selecting this and not doing a ton of research once we picked this, once we were reviewing different options. So then what I wanted to tell you too is then when I went to the store, it gets to be overwhelming trying to read labels and things like that. So I basically went in the store, this happened to be Costco, and I would just snap labels. Obviously we know that meat sources and food sources are good protein, gives you a lot of protein. But I needed some snack things. I needed things to fill in during the day other than just the protein shake. So I would be, going along through the grocery store and I would snap in like a product as well as what was on the back as far as the ingredients. And AI was real helpful saying, no, that fits what you would normally want, or yes, that's what you would like. Again, I don't like anything other than using oils like olive oil, coconut oil. I don't like to use the, vegetable oils and things like that. So it knows me with that. It knows that I don't want a lot of chemicals and things like that. So it makes it easy just if you wanted some snack items for throughout the day to get some things in other than your traditional meat and dairy. We also settled on that I would use yogurt, I would use cottage cheese, and things like that. But first I had to decide on a protein shake because that's a big one. And then I stumbled across this product, which was a peanut butter powder. And so my other concern was, since I normally don't eat a ton during the day, I didn't want to add a ton of calories because I didn't want, no one wants to gain weight just by adding protein. So I needed to keep it within range. So this product didn't have the calories as high because it's a powder, and it adds an additional 7 grams. And so this kind of met my bill, and I do this along with this, and that gives me 37 grams right off the bat. I then some days substitute with cottage cheese or yogurt. AI knows what the protein level is in those. I picked a few snacks. Sometimes for later in the day, if I just need to get some, these protein pretzels were 15 grams, pumpkin seeds, and I also went with some edamame. So these were all I have some other ones as well, but again, I just take a picture in the store, it calculates what it is, and then helps me decide whether that would be a good selection so I don't have to sit there and spend hours reading labels. So then what I would do is, my suggestion to you on any plan that you make is then to use AI to keep a graph of it or chart it out, and you can tell it to remember. You have to tell it to remember, keep track. I'm building a I'm, whether you want to put it in a, a chart later on, or you just want it to refer to it, or you just want to learn daily, are you meeting your goals? Tell it what you want. And that helps. So what I would do then, every time I ate something, I would snap in, or I would just say, had a shake. It knew I had shake plus peanut butter. It would know what the grams were. I would say, oh, I had a serving of yogurt or cottage cheese. It would know exactly, and it would keep track of it during the day. I would put the time in and the date, and just date, time it. And then at the end of the day is mainly when I would cook. So whatever recipe I was using, because I get a lot of mine online, have the nutritional intake on them. I would just snap a picture of that and say, this is what we're having for dinner. It would then calculate out what I had during the day, how many kind of calories I had, because I was being kind of calorie conscious as well. And it would say, you're great, you'll meet it with this as far as your goal for protein. And if you eat one serving of it, you're going to be a little shy of it, maybe a serving and a half or two. Your calories are great from what you had for the earlier in the day. That won't affect the scale at the end of the day. So use your camera. Snap the pictures, it totals it up, and then usually at about that point in time when I go, okay, this is what we're having for dinner, where will I be at with what I've already had today? And I'd be like, great, you're on track, you're fine. Or you need a little bit more, you're not quite there yet. And then that's when I would grab like some of these. And there's a lot of other things, nuts and things like that, but those then have a lot higher calorie count. And I was looking for things to kind of be a little lower calorie count. So anyway, then at the end of the day or week, I would log it, keep track of it, see if I was meeting those numbers. And then after time, you don't have to do this anymore. You don't have to snap it in, because you're just going to start to learn, oh, I had my shake, I had this, I'm off to a good start. I know if I eat a healthy dinner with chicken or shrimp or whatever you're having for dinner that night, you then don't need to mess with it, and you just kind of have learned a new skill. So anyway, use it for whatever goals you might be wanting to achieve, to keep track of it and track it and give you an idea of if you're meeting them. And then get on to the rest of the day. And once you do start learning these skills, it gets so much easier, and you don't have to bother with having a phone in your hand. Anyway, have a great day, and thanks for joining me. If this topic or any other topics, relating to how AI can help with everyday life interest you, please click to subscribe and come back and visit me again.